In this lesson, we are going to look at metabolism. This is the last lesson in the scheme. Previously, we've looked at aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, and effects of exercise. And so, this is the last lesson, which is a very straightforward lesson on metabolism. You might know some of these things before. You might have done this in Key Stage 3 science before. So, three things we might look at today: explain the importance of sugar, amino acids, fatty acids, okay, how they play a role in breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. What is metabolism? And what happens to the energy transferred? Okay, keywords: amino acids, proteins, glucose, carbohydrates, lipids, etc. We will look at that. Okay, next move on. Let's move on. Okay, I want you to do this quick exercise. You can do this in your book. Okay, I want you to match these keywords with the definitions. So amino acids, what are amino acids? Match with the relevant definition. Lipids, you might have heard this before. What are they? Match with the relevant answer. Proteins, enzymes, and carbohydrates. Some of these you might know. Could you try to attempt this in your book on a piece of paper, please? And it's very important that you bring this back into school when we are back into school, so I can show evidence that you've done this work, and this evidence will be incorporated in your folders, etc. It's very important that this is done. So I'll leave this on for 1 minute or so for you to digest this, and can you then then I will show you the answers after 1 minute. Okay, so what is amino acids? What are lipids? What are proteins? What are enzymes? And what are carbohydrates? Okay, so let's have a think about these. While you're doing that, I just want to remind you that please make sure you bring all the work with you to school when you're back in school, as part of the evidence of what you've done at home. Okay, so let's go through some answers. Amino acids. So amino acids is a small molecule that is a building block of proteins. It's found in proteins, and proteins are made up of amino acids. Lipids. Okay, there's a keyword here which might give you a clue. They're broken down by lipase. Okay, what are proteins? Anybody knows what are proteins? Proteins are broken down into amino acids. So you can see the key relation between amino acids and proteins. Now you've got two left. Enzymes. Enzymes are catalysts which facilitate reactions. So catalysts are which help out in the chemical reactions. Okay, so carbohydrates are the only one left, broken down into glucose. Okay, so let me just reiterate this again. Amino acids, small molecule that is building block of proteins. Lipids, broken down by lipase. Proteins, broken down into amino acids. Enzymes are catalysts, and carbohydrates are broken down into glucose. Hopefully we got all of them correct. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so what is metabolism? You might have heard of this term saying boost your metabolism. Okay, when you go on internet or in different magazines, etc. So what is metabolism? Why do we hear this word so much, and how is it related to our human body? We'll look at that. Okay, metabolism. That's a key brief summary. You need energy to fuel your chemical reactions in your body in order to keep you alive. So when you eat your food, a lot of chemical reactions are happening which are breaking down your food, okay? And they basically give us the energy. They ensure our body is functioning, all the organs are functioning, okay, and basically they keep us alive, okay? These reactions are called your metabolism, okay? So the energy which your body needs, okay, will start chemical reactions, okay, and these chemical reactions which happens when you eat your food are called basically your metabolism. The speed at which they occur is called metabolic rate. Now metabolic rate will be different in different people, okay. In some people it will be higher, some people, it will be lower depending on number of factors, okay. So now, for example, uh, the next line is muscles need more energy than fatty tissue. So for people who are muscular, have a higher metabolic rate. So people who are building muscles, they're exercising, bodybuilding, they will have a higher metabolic rate because they need more energy. Okay, so more chemical reactions are taking place. Okay, and so the food is quickly being broken down. Okay, and all these reactions are releasing energy, and which basically make them more muscular, and as a result, they have a higher metabolic rate. Now, it is known, okay, men have a slightly higher metabolic rate than women. Okay, this is what they have. This is what the assumption is, as they're generally slightly bigger and have a larger proportion of muscle. Not, I'm not saying that females can't go into bodybuilding. They can, but generally it's assumed men have slightly higher metabolic rate than women, as they are generally slightly bigger and have a larger proportion of muscle. So let me summarize this again. Metabolism is the chemical reactions which takes place in your body, okay, to keep you alive. So its key word is chemical reaction. I want you to write this down. So these chemical reactions are basically release the energy in your body, and that keeps you alive. Okay. Now, some people have a higher metabolism, which is called a higher metabolic rate, and some people will have a lower metabolic rate. Okay. So this is the key component which I want you to take out from this slide. Okay. I'll leave this one for 30 seconds for you to digest this. Then we'll move on. Okay. That was 15 seconds. Right. So carbohydrates. So we get energy from different things. So we get energy from carbohydrates. Okay. So you know about carbohydrates. You should have done this before. Starch can be broken down into simple sugars. Example, glucose. In respiration, glucose is broken down to release energy. Okay. Conversion of glucose to starch and conversion of simple sugars to cellulose is in the cell wall. So basically, in this component, what I'm trying to say is that so the metabolism, the energy you get, some of that comes from carbohydrates. When starch is broken down into simple sugars, okay, and glucose is broken down in respiration and conversion of glucose to starch. So this provides you with the energy required for metabolism. So what I want you to copy in here is that carbohydrates play in carbohydrate starch can be broken down to simple sugars. If you copy the first line and the second line, that will be sufficient for this section. Okay. Proteins, so proteins give you energy. Proteins can be broken down to amino acids. We've seen that. Okay, and break down to excess. If you have a lot of proteins, they form urea. But the key component which you need to remember is the proteins can be broken down into amino acids, which to give you energy. Okay, lipids, which are fats, they can be broken down into glycerol and three molecules of fatty acids. So the body breaks them down to give energy. So lipids are broken down. Okay. Okay, so let me just go back over this. So how do we get the metabolism, chemical reactions? Okay, so this energy to fuel chemical reactions, this comes from three things. It comes from carbohydrates, when starch is broken down to simple sugars. Respiration, when glucose is broken down to release energy, that gives you energy for the chemical reaction. Proteins, so the energy comes when the proteins can be broken down into amino acids. I want you to copy that line. Lipids, when lipids can be broken down into glycerol and three molecules of fatty acids. So what I'm trying to say in here is that metabolism is a chemical reaction, okay? And to ensure this chemical reaction happens, you need three components. You need carbohydrates, okay? You need your proteins and you need your lipids, okay? Because they provide the energy. So the carbohydrates give you the energy when starch is broken down to simple sugars. Proteins, when proteins are broken down into amino acids, and lipids, when lipids can be broken down into glycerol. So all these gives you the energy to kickstart a chemical reaction, which is your metabolism. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to have a go at these three questions. What is meant by metabolic rate? We looked at that briefly. Metabolic rate is affected by the amount of activity a person does. Give two other factors that may affect a person's metabolic rate. Okay, so I want you to have a look, think about this, and research on that. I've covered one factor. Okay, see if you can find the factor. A person with a higher body mass could live longer by changing their lifestyle. Give two changes they should make. So if somebody's got a higher body mass, okay, they could have some health problems. What changes they could make which will help them to live longer? Okay, so three questions. What is meant by metabolic rate? Please do this in a piece of paper or in your book. Metabolic rate is affected by amount of activity. Give two other factors. A person with a high body mass could live longer by changing their lifestyle. Give two changes to they should make. Now, I don't mind you researching from internet or using the information in this video, whichever way you want to do. Please do this. Okay. Once you've done that, I want you to go back on that Mass Made Easy website link I've provided, and on that link there's the chapter. There's a section on metabolism, okay, and effects of exercise. So I want you to open those questions for metabolism and response to exercise and have a go at those questions. Once you've had a go, okay, check for answers. And some things we have covered, because obviously I can't cover everything in these videos, and some things we haven't. So it will be some independent study and research for you in that sense. Okay, so let me just summarize this process. So metabolism is basically chemical reactions which take place in your body, okay, and these reactions need energy to fuel these chemical reactions. So where does this energy comes from? This energy comes from carbohydrates, okay, this energy comes from proteins, and this energy comes from lipids. All these, when they're broken down, give you the energy to have to basically start these chemical reactions or metabolism. And the other thing which we covered is that some people might have a slightly higher metabolic rate if, for example, they have during bodybuilding exercise, because they need more energy than the fatty acid, okay, and men slightly have higher metabolic rate than women, okay. So hopefully, and please have a go at these three questions, and there's two chapters here which I want you to have go at. So we've looked at importance of sugars, amino acids, etc. What is metabolism, and how is the energy transferred briefly in this section. Okay, goodbye.